Hi, today I'll be doing a bit of a session on a really common question that I've heard many times before from people learning to play, and that is string buzz or fret buzz. This lovely sound has happened to all of us at some point. It's not always your fault either, which is the good news. However, most of the time it probably is. So let's troubleshoot and let's see what we can do to sort out, and hope you can make some ground on getting rid of that little mildly irritating sound. There's 3 places we can look for string buzz or fret buzz, and the first place is this hand here. So your fretting hand. It has to be pushing down the frets or pushing down the strings within the frets in the right place. So our optimal place for getting a nice tone or a nice clear sound on the fretboard is right next to the actual wire. That will always get you a really clear sound if your guitar is in full working order. If I slide this finger further away from that fret, it turns into mush. So we bring it back again. The first thing with this I would say to you is experiment with your guitar. Press down a fret with one finger, any fret, anywhere on the fretboard. Press down a fret and get a feel for the tone within the fret. So if I just play right next to the fret, it sounds really nice. If I slide away, it starts to sound like this. So just start to play around with that so you get a sense of your guitar and how it works. The other thing that it could be with this hand is that when you're pressing down, you're not pressing down hard enough. So the strings, whether it's electric or acoustic, because this is the same on all guitars, you need to press down hard enough for the string to rest on the fret next to it and not vibrate. So if you're not doing that, it'll sound like that. So you'll find that once you press down a little bit harder, that buzz will disappear. The best way to explore this with you and your guitar and your hand pressure and capabilities and where you're at is to experiment with it. Just start by playing single notes, press it down. Are you pressing hard enough? Are you in the right part of the fret? When you're playing chords, it can be really common because you've got a few fingers doing something at once. So if you're really new to it, you've got to get used to thinking about those different fingers and all of them putting the right pressure. The strings have a different tension. Each string has a different tension. When you're playing something like a G chord, for example, it's more common in my experience that it will be the top string that buzzes because it takes a little bit more pressure. So when you're learning to play chords and you're getting some buzz in, number 1, are your fingers in the right place on the fret? Number 2, are you pressing down hard enough? The second place that we look for buzzing strings is this hand here. If you are playing too hard, if your strings are thin and you're strumming too hard and your strings are quite close to the fretboard, that can also result in string buzzing. So maybe try to play around with the amount of pressure on your strumming hands that you're using, because we can go from really light strums. If you do a really light strum and there's no buzz, and then you start strumming harder and it starts to buzz, then that's to do with the pressure and the amount of force you're putting on the strings. You don't get it so much with heavier strings in the same way, but if you've got lighter strings, then that's something that could happen more frequently. Place number 3 that we look at is structurally at the guitar. So this is now Pretend it's not your fault. You've done everything right, but if your guitar isn't set up properly, it will buzz. And there's a few different places your guitar can buzz. So one place it can buzz is here. This is called the nut. This little plastic or bone or whatever material yours is made out of, on your acoustic, electric, ukulele, whatever, the nut has grooves in it where the strings sit. If one of those grooves is too wide or it's worn and the string's moving around within it as it vibrates, that will create a buzzing sound. The next place you can look is at the bridge. Now, an acoustic guitar has a wooden bridge with a plastic or bone strip down it that also has grooves in it, like the nut. Again, if that's worn or broken, then the strings will rattle. If on your electric guitar, for some reason they're loose or the string's not sitting right, that can also rattle. So have a little closer look and see if you can see anything that doesn't look like it's fitting properly. Because as you play the strings, they vibrate. So if they're not being held properly, they'll rattle. The next place to look is the action. Now that is the distance between the fretboard and the string. So you need enough distance so that the string can vibrate without hitting the frets. If you're strumming it and there is not enough gap here, it will rattle on the frets as you play it. Likewise, if the action is too high and there's too much of a gap here, then it will make it harder for you to press the strings down, which may also create buzzing. So if it does come down to the action, that is the guitar setup. So that ideally you would take that to a luthier or guitar shop, somebody who can sort that out for you. They're the main places where you would go to diagnose string buzzing. Beware of blaming your instrument because you're not yet pressing your fingers down hard enough or they're not in the right place in the fret. By the same token, it might be that it's the guitar that's buzzing and there's actually nothing you could do about it. As an example, I had a 10-year-old student last week who was playing a guitar that was buzzing, and the guitar had been bought for him secondhand. The strings hadn't been changed in quite some time. He'd played it for over a year and never changed them, so the strings were quite dirty. When I actually looked at the string, this is what the string looked like. So this is a nylon guitar string and this is actually halfway down the string. So it had started to wear and get fluffy and then unwind while he was actually playing it, and it had been like that for weeks and he just thought he wasn't playing it properly. So there are cases where there's just some things that you don't know. So these are all the things that over time as you're playing, you'll get to know more about your guitar, more about how you play it, more about what pressure you need to apply, all that kind of stuff. And it is just a case of troubleshooting, and it's a little bit of trial and error. A lot of the time it's you getting to know your instrument, and over time you may kick yourself because you realise that actually your guitar needed a setup and you were playing it fine but it sounded not very good. But there's so many different things that could be occurring for each and every person who's experiencing string buzz. So just try and eliminate one thing at a time, and it's part of the journey of playing. Enjoy learning your guitar and enjoy your journey. I hope you found today useful. If there's any comments or conversations you want to have around it, anything I've not brought up today that you'd like to explore or queries, I shall see you next time with no buzzing strings. Take care. Bye bye.